So I was thinking of tonight's topic, tonight's subject of conversation. And I want to share something with you that I think is going to help. I think it's going to help. And it's always helped me because sometimes we forget who we can be because we get stuck in the past. We get stuck in our own thoughts about our own, the dialogue that we have that is basically that it was external dialogue that was implanted into our brain. So basically social conditioning, right? So other people say things to you over and over and over again, whether it's your family, your friends, your teachers growing up, and then over time you start to internalize that dialogue, and sometimes it becomes unconscious, and you believe that that is actually what you think, but that is not what you think. These are just ideas that other people have had, that they've communicated to you in such a way where you've generated enough emotional investment in that you've taken it as part of yourself. So here is here is the cool thing that I wanted to share with you today. If you want to become someone, you have to act in accordance with how that person will behave. So if you want to become it, you be it in a sense. Now, this is not the whole fake it till you make it thing. Now, there's a bit of a half truth in that, but I really want to focus on more about becoming a person of character. As an example, if you want to become a stand-up person, a person who is reliable, a person who other people can count on, a person who can take care of the problems, handle the challenges, who can get things done, who can find a way to make things work, then what you have to do is you have to act like a person who would let me rephrase that. You have to act in accordance with honesty. You have to act disciplined in a disciplined manner. So day to day, you have to be disciplined. You have to act in a way that demonstrates work ethic. So you have to be hardworking. So these are the habits that you're engaging in, the actions that you're engaging in to become this person that you've constructed in your mind. So essentially, you're thinking, okay, who do I want to become? And because you might think, what kind of life do I want to live, right? So what do I want to have? What kind of material goods do I want to have? Like, where do I want to live? What kind of car do I want? That's all great stuff, right? But then you have to ask yourself is you can't just think about that stuff. Now you can, and you can just as we see in the internet nowadays, certain individuals talking about, it's an input output equation. That's not untrue, but you also have to ask yourself, what is the input output equation for your character, for your being? Because you might think, okay, I want to produce these results, but at the same time, sometimes what can happen is you can't even motivate yourself enough to produce those results. This camera not focusing. You can't even motivate yourself enough to produce those results. It's irritating. You can't motivate yourself enough to produce those results because you actually are not motivated only by the outputs, by what you're seeing. Because a lot of people think that, okay, well, hang on, let me just, that's better. So a lot of people think that by doing the things and getting the outcome, by doing the thing, they will get the outcome. And that is true. However, there is a large subset of people, and it may be the majority of people, we don't know this, that actually cannot motivate themselves in that way. They have to motivate themselves in a different way, in such a way where they actually they're becoming somebody who they want to become, and that person can then produce all the inputs to get the outputs, to get the outcomes that would be associated with whatever life they would want to create. But that's really just an afterthought. I think what we all really want to some degree is the feelings that we value the most, right? The experiences that we value the most, whether that's meaning, whether that's fulfillment, whether that's connection, whether that's love, whether that's pride, whether that's, they're all feelings, right? Power, like these are feelings. And in order to create those feelings, the best thing to do is to act in accordance with a person who would experience those things. And then from that place, it's a lot easier to do what you need to do. You see what I'm saying? So sometimes we think it's one way when it can be the inverse. And sometimes it is the inverse, right? Sometimes by doing the things and getting the outcome, so to speak, you become that person. Oftentimes, though, if you're not even motivated enough, this is the key. If you're not even motivated enough to do all of the things that get you XYZ outcome, to put in the 10-hour days, to do XYZ, then that just means that perhaps you have an internal block within yourself, either insecurity, a feeling of unworthiness, as they say, lack of confidence. And so, what you need to do is you need to do things that a confident person would do, right? You need to do things that a secure person would do. You need to do things that an honest person would do. You need to do things that a disciplined person would do to become those things. So, what that means is you start small, right? Which means all of those things may lead to that outcome. But in order for you to be that person who does all those things, maybe you should take 10 more steps back and find out, okay, what do I need to do to build up enough momentum so that I can actually feel what I would want to feel so that I can produce the results. Now, you don't wait for the feeling. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you act, you make decisions on a day-to-day basis routinely. So in a cyclical manner, so day in, day out, day in, day out, day in, day out, so that you've crystallized in your mind that you have the qualities necessary to do this other thing. An easy example is you give yourself credit for eating healthy every day, or going to the gym every day, or calling so and so every day, or being social and being friendly, or giving other people respect every day, or showing up every single day and doing work, or whatever the case is. You have to be able to frame your accomplishments as small wins and recognize yourself for doing what you're doing, right? So essentially, every time you do something right, you make a note of it. Every time you do something right, you make a note of it. You woke up an extra 10 minutes early, and you did everything 10 minutes earlier, bang, you give yourself credit. You need to recognize yourself for all the right things that you do, because if you don't reward yourself, it's very unlikely that you're going to motivate yourself to do anything on a large scale, because you're constantly motivated and then not so much, and then motivated and then not so much, because you're identifying with whatever feelings that you happen to be feeling in that moment, not realizing that you're a person that is like ever evolving, and you need to be able to recognize what it is that you're doing and just make corrections when when what you're doing is incorrect. And every time you do something correct, you have to recognize yourself. That is why a lot of people fail, is that they're really good at chastising themselves and judging themselves and criticizing themselves when they fuck up, but they're not so good at being able to give themselves credit when they're actually doing things correctly. And one of the most potent forms of motivation is encouragement, is reinforcement, is reward. And we forget that with ourselves. You have to be able to do that with yourself. So remember, you want to achieve something. Now, in order to achieve that thing, you have to become somebody different. So which means that you have to take specific actions on a day-to-day basis to become that person, to create that thing. Now, in that process, you might notice that that thing or that vision might change. That's okay. But you also have to realize that the person that you want to become typically is a person of upstanding moral character. That's really part of what you want. And you want, maybe the status and the power, and you want to be able to use that to help people and whatever else you want to do with your life. However, that person is a work in progress on the day-to-day basis. And if you are not attentive, if you not observe yourself and give yourself, number one, grace, number two, make corrections when necessary, and don't get trapped in this darkness, in this haze where you basically bring yourself down, right? Those are the demons bring yourself down. It's like Satan at your back telling you you're not good enough. You have to be able to recognize when you're doing things right, and also give thanks and be grateful every time that happens. So you're constantly rewarding yourself. You're in these like small loops on a day-to-day basis, right? So you make a mistake, correct it, whatever, leave it aside, right? And then keep going. And then, constantly reward yourself for doing things right. And then eventually what's going to happen is, first of all, you're going to be able to do more things right. And you're going to be able to do more complicated things right. But what you're also going to be doing is putting yourself in a state that allows you to produce those things. So it's a win-win. So keep that in mind. I don't want to harp on for too long. I don't want to make this a very long-winded video. And I don't even know how long I've been going, but hopefully not for more than 10 minutes. So I hope that was helpful. Remember, the person, what you want to create is directly associated with the person that you need to become. So if you want to become this person, you have to act in accordance with how that person would behave. And as you're moving towards that on a day-to-day basis, make sure that you establish habits so that you're having positive reinforcement. You give yourself credit every time you do something right, however small it is. And every time you do something incorrect, make a note of it, make a change, and then continue on that path. Don't get caught up in that. That's not really helpful for you. So I hope that was helpful, and I'll catch you in the next video.